Thank you. Hello, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are. And thank you, Dr. Adwan and CSID for this webinar and this, this opportunity to remember and remind everyone about the ongoing plight of the increasing number of political prisoners in Tunisia. And thank you all for joining us today, particularly with all that's happening around the world at the moment, and especially in Gaza, and all the protests that this is triggering out of the realization of our individual responsibility for championing freedom and opposing injustice wherever they may be. And equally, it's important not to forget those who are sacrificing their freedom to continue demanding justice and democracy and freedom for all Tunisians. Today is the 379th day for my father, Ghannouchi, in prison. Like all the other critics of Qais Said who have been targeted since his power grab, my father has been targeted because he has been one of the earliest and most prominent voices of opposition to Qais Said's power grab, describing his so-called exceptional measures announced on the 25th of July 2021 as illegal, unconstitutional, and amounting to a coup against Tunisia's democracy, and calling for opposing them and repealing them. In fact, as Mr. Abdelrazak Kilani mentioned, this was the first case out of a very long case of a list of charges against my father. The first one was the case of the online plenary session called by my father as Speaker of Parliament to assess the constitutionality of these so-called measures. So that was on the 30th of March 2022. And on the same day, Qais Said ordered his justice minister to charge all the MPs who took part in that session, ironically, for an attempted coup. It's important also to remember that comes after the dissolution of the Supreme Judicial Council, which took place a month earlier. So we see this pattern as Qais Said took gradually more and more control of the judiciary. We see him using it as a tool to target his opponents. So February, we see the dissolution of the Supreme Judicial Council. March, we see this first summons for my father to be interrogated for this parliamentary online session, where MPs voted unanimously to repeal Qais Said's 25th of July 2021 measures. After that, we see a succession of summons, 8 in addition to this, so 9 in total charges, all the way until his arrest on the 17th of April 2023, which was mentioned by Salsabil, following his speech at the headquarters of the National Salvation Front, in this publicly available speech where he denounced the coup and those who welcomed the coup, and said that those who still wish to exclude any group in Tunisia, whether they be leftists or Islamists or others, would be laying the ground for civil war in Tunisia. So for this, he was charged with incitement against the state. So this was the initial charge for which he was arrested on the 17th of April, which was the 27th night of Ramadan at the time. After that, we see the reopening of old cases that had been since Qais Said come into power, for which my father had been interrogated, and judges had decided that there was no evidence and rejected these cases. We see the reopening of some of these, and we see the opening of new cases, all of which are politically motivated and fabricated. There's no time, obviously, to go through the details, but so after the initial interrogation in March 2022, the second case for which he was interrogated was the Nama Association case. Nama is an NGO in Tunisia, to which my father has no relationship. So in July 2022, he was summoned, and again, most of these are under the anti-terrorism judicial poll. So he was interrogated in July 2022. He was interrogated again in September 2022 as part of the so-called Tarout case, where, as again was mentioned, my father had said during a funeral of a party member that member had no fear of any ruler or tyrant. And a member of a police union said that this is incitement against the police. So he was interrogated as part of this case in 2022, and he was the judge decided to maintain him on bail. But again, after he was arrested in April 2023, this case was reopened and a verdict was issued as part of this case. In August 2022, my father was interrogated as part of that, the Tarout case. Then in May 2023, he was interrogated as part of the same case. In May 2023, this is when the verdict was issued for 1 year imprisonment as part of this case, which was later at the appeal stage was increased to 15 months. And this is being appealed again. The fourth case, which Mr. Kilani has mentioned, was in September 2022. My father was interrogated as part of the case, claiming he was involved in facilitating travel to conflict zone. Again, completely fabricated and politically motivated. The fifth case is the Instalingo case, which is a case that had started years before, and my father was never mentioned as part of the list of defendants. But later, a new case was opened, and a number of politicians, businessmen, and security officers were included in this case, including my father. So he was interrogated as part of this case in November 2022. The sixth case is a case where a police officer claimed that he has a videotape of my father meeting with extremists, which he could not provide or prove. So my father was interrogated as part of that case, and the judge rejected that because of lack of evidence. In February 2023, he was interrogated for 8 hours as part of that. The seventh case is the case for which he was arrested, the National Salvation Front speech. The eighth case is the so-called secret apparatus case. So this started in 2018. And the judge found no evidence, and a new case was reopened in June 2023. And the ninth case is the foreign financing case. Again, a fabricated and politically motivated case for which my father has been sentenced to 3 years in prison, which is also being appealed. So for all these charges, my father was interrogated often for 10 hours or more during the night, mostly. But before the dissolution of the Judicial Council and before the dismissal of the judges by Qais Said and the increasing pressures, judges had interrogated my father, but decided, not to detain him. After his detention, we see the reopening of these cases. And my father realized that there was no respect at all of any standards for a fair trial. And he has, since then, since the verdict was issued, 1 month after his arrest, he has informed his lawyers that he will not be cooperating. He will not attend any more interrogations, as he sees his arrest and detention as a political decision and nothing to do with the law at all. And as a result, also, what we are doing outside is, because this is all politically motivated and the decisions are being made by Qais Said and through his orders to his justice minister, what needs to be done is to keep on, putting pressure on on Qais Said, on the Tunisian authorities, on all those working with Qais Said and facilitating these daily violations, to put an end to this. So with other families of political prisoners, we have brought cases outside Tunisia. We have filed for sanctions against Qais Said, his justice minister, his defense minister, his interior minister, in the UK, in the EU, in the US. We have also filed a case at the African Court on Human and People's Rights last May. As you know, the court had already ruled that Qais Said's exceptional measures were unconstitutional. And obviously, Qais Said did not comply, although the rulings of the court are binding, and Tunisia, as a member, is supposed to comply with these decisions. But it is important to continue doing this, to put pressure on Qais Said. And also, we have also filed at the International Criminal Court a few months ago, and we are doing this with a number of other families of political prisoners, as well as the family of Rida Bouzayyan, who was killed during the protests of the revolution anniversary in 2022, calling for an investigation, a real investigation into his death. So we are continuing with these actions, and we call on anyone who believes in democracy and human rights around the world to continue putting pressure on Qais Said to restore the democracy and human rights in Tunisia. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusra. As you know, Sheikh Rashid is not only a politician and a political leader, he's also one of the foremost leaders, intellectual leaders and scholars of Islam and democracy. He has written over 20 books on human rights and democracy in Islam. So he's very well respected all over the Muslim world. Tell us about his conditions right now, his health. How is he doing? A lot of people would like to know and are asking about under what conditions is he being held? How is he doing health-wise and morally?
He's obviously like other prisoners. He's he faces the same conditions. He doesn't have any special treatment or special conditions. He's doing well. His health is fine. Obviously, he's 82 years old, so it's not the same as when he was a political prisoner when he was in his 40s. But he's still, he's still optimistic. He's still continuing from inside prison. As you know, he's been on a hunger strike twice already. To demand his release, and in solidarity with other political prisoners as part of other cases who were on hunger strike. And as he wrote recently, although he does not like to, romanticize prison. He, as he described it, it is one of the most brutal institutions invented by mankind, because it deprives them of the most precious thing they have, that is their freedom. However, he's trying to use his time there and do all the reading and writing and exercising he was not able to do outside prison. But it remains that it is a great injustice to be deprived of your freedom simply for calling for the restoration of democracy.